Yeah, thanks very much, David, and thanks for your listeners for joining. Great privilege to be able to talk and provide a bit of an update on our two projects. Quite uniquely positioned, we feel, given we've got one project that's clearly under development now, and we're making great progress in fast tracking that project through a DFS and a very extensive metallurgical test program. But we've got significant exploration upside ahead with a 50,000 metre campaign soon to kick off. So we're really thrilled with the progress we've made this year, and this is a great opportunity to provide an update across both of our projects. So moving on to the next slide. Standard disclosure, I'll let you read that at your leisure. So this is really the company on the page, our strategic highlights and why invest. Again, multi-asset that gives us great optionality from a development perspective. We're not a company that doesn't have a resource. We've got a 50 million tonne resource currently across both of our projects here in Western Australia. Great locations to be mining and developing a mine here in Western Australia. We've got great access to infrastructure and skilled workers. Our first project up in Marble Bar in the Pilbara, and our second project out east of Kalgoorlie, and that's the project, our flagship project, in fact, that we're fast tracking through to development. So a great starting position in terms of a resource. But clearly some quite significant upside ahead across both of our projects. Being both JORC compliant, two of only 14. I mean, it's really hard to get a JORC compliant lithium resource. There's only 14 in Australia, and we own two of those wholly. If you think about most of the other resources, they are operated under joint ventures. Great jurisdiction, as I mentioned earlier. And I'll talk a little bit about the infrastructure piece that we've got at our disposal because it's absolutely crucial. I think there's been some impressive discoveries on paper made in recent times in other jurisdictions, but really, as far as I'm concerned, a number of those assets will remain stranded for the foreseeable future because of our infrastructure piece. We've got sealed roads and rail adjacent to both of our project sites, and that was really core for us in terms of developing our projects, because it's one thing, as your listeners will know, to have a great asset. But it's another thing entirely to have the infrastructure to be able to bring that asset to market. We do have a couple of really important strategic partners on our register as strategics. Canmax is not a well-known name here in Australia, but certainly in China they're a heavyweight. They control around 110,000 tonnes of lithium hydroxide conversion capacity based on spodumene feedstock. Very well diversified in China, and they're supplying all the major battery companies, including, of course, CATL, and Mineral Resources as well has a 9.7% stake in the company. So importantly, we're really well funded. We've got 67 odd million in the bank as of the end of May. So we're fully funded through to FID. So that allows us to develop our projects with confidence. We've got a really strong team, across lithium and battery metals. I've been in the sector more than 13 years. I'm also leading the LME Lithium Cobalt Committee. I've been in that role for more than 3.5 years now, and that's given me great access to really the downstream lithium industry, and we've got quite significant interest in our company from an offtake position. And it's not just the exec and the board, but we've got a great composite, a great spread of talent through approvals, project development, exploration, of course, commercial finance. Next slide. So just sort of a corporate snapshot. This is slightly dated. This is as of the middle of June. Tightly held register, 257 million shares on issue. We've got, as I said, 67 million in the bank as of May. The register itself, about 20% taking up with Mineral Resources and Canmax as the two core strategics. There's some high net worth individuals, board and management about 4.5%, and balances retail and insto. The institutional part of the register is about 15%. And that was really on the back of a raise we made the back end of last year to acquire our Manna project wholly. And there's a couple of companies covering the stock as well through non-paid means. Next. Look, I'll skip through this section in the interest of time, just to say that really, there's no turning back to internal combustion engine technology. Most of the global OEMs are now fully committed to electrification. Just some hard statistics here in terms of what's happening in China. We recently sent a team into China one of the few lithium companies that's actually dispatched a technical delegation into China to really get the latest intel on opportunities there around partnering, of course. We've got a near-term DSO potential partnership opportunity, but also to understand the market and what's happening in China. Obviously, with COVID, things have been shut down for a number of years, but things are starting to open up, and those buyers, at least in China, are looking to adopt. And we've seen EV adoption increase quite significantly, certainly above and beyond my expectations. Next. I'll flip through this one next, please. So our team did visit China. We visited a number of DSO operations. Our project director, Tony Chamberlain, was supported by our senior business analyst and also Simon O'Leary, who's the process manager at Wave International, who's supporting our DFS and our metallurgical test program. So we had a great opportunity to meet with partners, current partners, and also to explore some opportunities, technical collaboration opportunities with some other players. I mean, there's a lot happening in China. They are still the leaders in terms of technical expertise around lithium processing and even beneficiation. They've been doing some incredible things there with some of the advanced flotation agents they're using for spodumene beneficiation. So we think there's some opportunities for us to use some of this technology as we develop our own project at Manna. Next, please. So let's have a chat about Manna. So this is, in my opinion, one of the mines of the future. It's an outcropping spodumene bearing pegmatite. We've got some really significant intercepts, sort of plus 20 metre intercepts. An existing resource of close to 33 million tonnes. We are soon to announce an upgrade to that resource on the back of some assays which came in late last year, which have now been reworked into the resource model. And of course, the upside for us is significant. We've got a 50,000 metre campaign, which is soon to kick off. And a great place to be mining, as I said. We're only 100 odd kilometres due east of Kalgoorlie, and there's some great talent that we can draw on from that phenomenal mining town. So we do have a lot of experience. We've got great infrastructure. This slide doesn't show it, but there is a rail siding just to the south of the project, about 13 kilometres to the south of the project, and we'll look to use that infrastructure to get our ore and our concentrate to market. Next, please. So this is where the upside is coming. You know, bear in mind, we're a young company as well. We've only been listed on the ASX 2 years, and last year was our first really meaningful exploration campaign on the asset. We completed sort of 45,000 odd metres of RC and diamond drilling, and that culminated in a 33 million tonne resource, which we announced in December of last year. But importantly, this resource is open at depth and also along strike, particularly to that northeast. There's a significant additional zone to that northeast, which will be the focus of our exploration drilling this year. There's also some targets to the southwest of the existing ore body as well. So it'll be a big campaign, but the team's gearing up for it. We're just wrapping up heritage surveys in the next week or two, and we'll have the drill rig spinning the middle of August. And it's a big campaign, as I said. Up to 5-6 drill rigs will be on site as part of this campaign. So our team is out at Manna at the moment, bolstering up the exploration camp as well, because with 5 or 6 rigs on site, as you can imagine, there's a little bit of preparation ahead of that drill campaign. But our team is really excited about this and what it means in terms of growing this resource, because, as I said, there's some significant tonnes to come in our expectation. Next, please. So this sort of talks a little bit about some of the work that we've done in the first half of this year. Obviously, we're now the owner of the tenement. Previously, it was a joint venture arrangement. We owned 80% of the lithium rights. We acquired 100% ownership of the asset late last year, acquired the outstanding 20% of Breaker Resources. And with that, we increased the project tenemency about 5x. And now we're the tenement owner. We've gone through the front door in terms of our engagement with traditional owners. We've had some great success working with the TOs. They're a wonderful group, the Gagara people, and we're now formally engaged in native title agreements as well. And we're hoping to have those concluded by the end of the year. But we have done a significant amount of geochemical, geophysical work whilst we're getting ready for our exploration campaign this year, and that's really given us great. Identified some very clear targets. Firstly, pegmatite lithium targets, but we've also discovered some other really important critical minerals on this project tenemency, which we've announced recently as well. Next, please. We have submitted a mining lease application. This mining lease application 28414 was lodged with DEMIRS in April of this year. And bear in mind, not many companies get to submit a mining lease. This covers a very significant land package, about 2,400 hectares in total. And it's really important on all the related infrastructure as well. And you can see the diagram on the right there. That image shows you what we're looking to do in terms of the concentrate, providing the concentrate to the rail siding at Coroni to the south, 30 kilometres to the south. And then we'll look to move that material. We've got multiple logistics options. We've obviously got Esperance to the south, and we've also got Kwinana, the port of Kwinana out to the west of the project. There's a significant amount of technical de-risking work streams that are ongoing, metallurgical test programs in full swing, and obviously we've had some very successful initial work undertaken with regards to ore sorting, and our ore body is incredibly amenable to ore sorting. So a lot happening. Next slide, please. I talked about heritage earlier. It's really critical, and we've identified sort of approvals as being a critical path from quite an early stage, and we've got a very significant approvals team led by Simon Corrigan, but we've got a full-time land access, environmental land access manager now working for us. We've got a full-time community relations manager working for us, and we've got a specialist heritage native title consultant as well. And that really culminated in the first really important announcement, was this land access agreement signed only a handful of weeks ago. Flew out to Kalgoorlie. We have very regular engagement with the Gagara people, and we're really looking for a win-win relationship here with this group. We're exploring a number of options above and beyond just a royalty-based incentive, but I think there's some real opportunities to involve the group, to be part of the project proper as it develops. Next, please. DFS. I touched on the DFS being underway. We're using WAVE to sort of oversee a number of those work programs, but we do have in-house capability. We've got a full-time metallurgist process manager working with the company. We also have mine engineering capability. Joel Van Annen has come off the Core Lithium Project. So we do have that in-house capability as well on the owners team. So we are looking to progress this feasibility study through to the end of the year. It's a significant work stream, and obviously the metallurgy is a core part of that. We think our flow sheet will be whole of ore flow. We're really focused on recoveries. We think we can get some really high recoveries. I touched on some of these organic flotation agents which could be available to us from our partners in China. Some of the early works we've done show really great potential. Our metallurgy is clean, really clean. We don't have a high level of gangue mineralisation. The iron content in the ore is very low. Most of the iron's in the waste rock, and we think using ore sorting will help separate a lot of that high iron waste rock, which is highly magnetic as well. Next. Just touching on the ore sorting, we did complete an initial trial. This was a proof of concept trial earlier this year, tremendously successful. We had a sort of a 90% increase in the head grade using the ore sorting. We won't use this on all of the blasted ore through the run of mine, but what we're looking to do, the larger pegmatites will be processed through a primary jaw crush. And what this technology allows us to do is mine some of those more marginal, thinner pegmatite lenses that have a sharp contact with the waste rock. So this will certainly increase the throughput, we feel. So stay tuned. We've got another significant commercial scale trial. It'll be 150 metric tonnes an hour using the Steiner machine. And we've got great visual control with our pegmatite and our waste rock, and that gives us a big advantage. Not all lithium deposits have this advantage. Often you have the lithium mineralisation blending into the wall rock. We have a very sharp contact, so we think this technology is going to stack up really well, and absolutely will be part of our commercial flow sheet going forward. Next. So we have two projects, our Marble Bar Lithium Project. I touched on the infrastructure earlier. I mean, this is probably no better project from an infrastructure perspective. I mean, we're drilling pegmatites at the moment 30 metres off the Marble Bar Road, and Marble Bar Road, as you can see there, runs through our 10-metre package, runs all the way to Port Hedland. So it's about 160 kilometres up the highway. So we don't have to spend any money on infrastructure really, because it's all there. Again, this is an outcropping spodumene bearing pegmatite. We came to market with this asset in May of 2021 as part of our IPO. It was about a 10.5 million tonne resource at 1%. And on the back of last year's exploration, we grew this resource up to 18 million tonnes. We think there's more to come. We are pursuing next slide, we'll just touch on that. We're pursuing a 20,000 metre exploration campaign this year, but there are also some gold and some base metal targets that we'll explore. Next, please. You can see here the land package. So the image on the right just shows you, firstly, a tenement package in green, and then it shows you some of the exploration targets. So that Archer deposit, we've got about 18 million tonnes of lithium resource sitting in that particular part of the Goldilocks zone. But as you can see, there's a number of additional sort of pegmatite corridors that we'll look to explore. We did a lot of mapping last year that suggests that we have opportunities in some of these other corridors. And well to the north, we have a gold asset as well that we'll look to explore. So there's very strong interest in this project, particularly from the Europeans. Your listeners may have heard there's a lot happening in Port Hedland, or in Port Hedland potentially becoming a lithium processing hub. And given this project's only 160 kilometres from Port Hedland, I think we're in a very good position there to explore those options further. Next, please. So as I said, the drill rigs are spinning at this particular site, 20,000 metre RC drill campaign, and then of course we'll test some of those gold targets, our Twin Bones gold target to the north as well. Next, please. So just finishing off, these are really the key milestones, a lot happening, and really my big focus as MD has been building a team that allows us and puts us in the best position to be able to meet these milestones, which are significant. You know, exploration across both projects, and that's a combination of RC and diamond. They'll run through to the back end of this year. Importantly, we've got a significant cash reserve that if the resource extension continues to the northeast, we can continue to chase it. We've got a DFS and an ore reserve for Manna that'll be released this year as well. The MET test is ongoing, metallurgical test work, and we also have a DSO PFS, which we'll look to announce in Q3. We are looking at some downstream lithium studies. Some of the partners we're in discussions with are very interested in terms of taking our concentrate all the way through to lithium hydroxide. Resource upgrades will come periodically. We're soon to announce an additional resource upgrade, and there'll be another one the first half of next year, which combines the 50,000 metre drilling campaign at Manna. Approvals tracking really well. We're ahead of the curve in terms of both environmental and native title approvals. So all going well, we're positioning for a final investment decision around the middle of next year, and then from there it's about an 18-month build out. The beauty about spodumene concentrate, as your listeners would know, it's a low risk from a capital deployment perspective. So lots to look forward to. First production in 2026, all going well. So that's it for me, David. I think I've got one final slide there, but if you just flick it over. Probably the next one is probably I can finish off on, because people are everything, and we've got a great team. We're working really close with our local communities, and always like to finish on this slide because we're a company that's very experienced and we want to do the right thing by the communities in which we're operating. So thanks very much for your time. Happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Ron. Great presentation. Clearly quality projects in a tier 1 jurisdiction really stand out. I asked the question of the previous two presenters, and it's been asked again here. How do you acquire such high quality advanced assets in a tier 1 jurisdiction?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think like any good business deal, it's all about timing, but also having a team that recognises the opportunities. I think the first project we picked up and we brought to market, we acquired those tenements of BCI Minerals, our Marble Bar Lithium Project, and we then explored those with a really experienced geological team. I mean, our geos, we've got 4 project geologists, an exploration geologist, and of course our GM geology. I mean, we've got 80 years of lithium experience across our geology team. That matters. You know, we're not looking for gold here. We've got a team that knows how to hunt spodumene in particular. And bear in mind, there's a number of lithium minerals that will come through these ore bodies, and spodumene is what everyone's chasing. We've got 2 projects that have spodumene dominant lithium mineralisation. So we're really lucky there, having that expertise. And then, of course, our Manna project, we delivered the maiden inferred mineral resource on that project after acquiring an 80% joint venture interest from Breaker. Now, Breaker's a wonderful company, but their focus is gold. They're not looking to develop lithium. We are. So that was just good timing. We picked up that asset December of 2021, that 80% interest. We delivered that maiden inferred mineral resource of 9.9 million tonnes in February last year, and then grew that sort of 250% up to sort of 33 million tonnes at back end of last year. So yeah, a combination of good timing, right place, right time, but also having a really experienced team that recognise the opportunity.
Now, one question I think is a really good one. When you came to market, you had a number of goals you set out to achieve. They're very clear. The prospectus was very clear on what you wanted to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
Are you surprised by how quickly you achieved them and how quickly you probably had to reset those goals?
Yeah, that's a really good point you make, and yeah, we were. I mean, even just looking at sort of the near-term targets, the opportunity to grow the resource, to have a JORC compliant resource, was our first and foremost goal, because once you have an initial starting position, obviously there's opportunities to grow. I think the focus really was building a team that had that capability, David, and I think all successful businesses, the common thread or the common theme is team. And you can have the best resource in the ground, but unless you've got a great team that has the ability, the experience and the knowledge to unlock that resource, you're going to be quite significantly challenged. So we've had a mandate from the start to get the best people. And once you get the best people, the good news comes. That's the view we've had, and certainly that's proven to be the case for us.
Now, on a personal level, you have been involved in the lithium space. You could argue well before it was cool, well before everyone else was jumping on the bandwagon. For you, when did the penny drop that lithium was the commodity that you should be focusing on, it, and why?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. You know, I'll 100% agree with you. I was involved in lithium when it was completely non-sexy. You know, lithium was an industrial mineral when I was working at Talison. I was selling spodumene to China for $250, $300 a tonne. And I still remember the first time we got a sale at $300 a tonne. It was a lot of fist pumping and celebrating. Mind you, our cash cost back then was far lower as well, so it's all relative. But it was really, I reckon 2014. 2014 was when Albemarle made a bid for Talison, and we were actually TSX listed at that time. We couldn't get any exposure with APEC investors in terms of lithium. It was far too niche and boutique back then, so we had to run across to Toronto to get any sort of public exposure. But then when Albemarle was actually Rockwood Holdings at the time, made the bid for us, that really sort of got me thinking that there's a big future here. Albemarle, as we all know, is the biggest lithium company in the world, and they acquired the company ultimately in a joint venture together with Tianqi. But yeah, 2014 was what I thought, this industry has legs, and this is the first move of many. Yeah, so that was probably the time where I thought, yeah, this is a market, this is an industry, a metal for the next 100 years, not just the next 10.
Well, as you say, timing's everything. So right place, right time, and right acknowledgement of where things were going to go, and full credit to you and as you say, the wider team for what you've been able to achieve. Last couple of questions to come through. How long do you think it'll take to complete the 50,000 metre drilling campaign at Manna? Yeah, we've got quite a clear target. Obviously, building out that exploration camp and making sure we've got a full-time cook. Previously, our geos would be out in the field with the drillers and then come back late in the day and have to cook for themselves. We've got an industrial kitchen out there. We've got a full-time cook now, so our geos can just focus on hunting lithium. Look, with 5 or 6 drills in play, we hope to have the campaign finished by the end of this year. Now is actually the best time to be drilling. Winter going through spring is the best time. It's the driest time out in Kalgoorlie. So time is perfect for us. And I think with 5 or 6 drill rigs spinning, I think a 4 to 5 month campaign is completely realistic. And have you stated an exploration target at Manna? Oh, look, of course, we've got an internal target. I can't share that publicly at this stage, but it's, you know, we're looking for a sizable increase here. We want our tonnes, and we think this project and this asset has serious legs. We just need to drill it out and prove it. Last question, and not to divert the attention, clearly focus is on lithium, but the rare earth potential, a bit of a surprise. What does it mean in terms of focus?
Yeah, it's a great surprise to have. And I remember when our geos first alerted me to it. You know, I guess my biggest concern of that was how investors going to take this news, and we wanted to do some work to really prove that we had something significant, something that had potential. So I'll put the team, you know, to work to really consolidate the position and overlay with all the geochemical, geophysical work that was done. But of course, we've got something that's meaningful and absolutely material. But our focus 100% is still developing lithium. Our team is here to develop a lithium project. Now, if we have a rare earth project that comes along and proves to be significant, we're in a wonderful position. Just think about the location of our asset. It's another critical minerals project. The government our government, both state and federal, is heavily focused on supporting and developing companies that have critical minerals. And to have 2 critical minerals on one tenement, that's remarkable. We're not surprised. There's some other interesting things on these tenements that you know, will come to bear in due course as well. But we do need to drill test these rare earth targets, and we will have a separate team drill testing the rare earth targets once drilling gets underway. But certainly the 2 projects completely separated, separate names, separate budgets, and separate project teams as well. So we certainly are mindful of our focus here, which is still and will remain lithium.
Well, like you say, 2 quality projects in a tier 1 jurisdiction, exceptional teams driving them both forward, and some key milestones clearly ahead of you. Goals have been achieved and new goals have been set. So we look forward to following the story as it develops. Ron, thanks for your time.
My pleasure, David. Thank you.